and welcome to my channel. My name is Michael Keane, and today we are going to be talking about top 10 directors' horror debuts. Now, I wanted to go over a couple rules I made when I wrote this list. First rule being that this is completely subjective and my own list. If you guys don't see a movie on this or that you're like, hey, where's that one? That definitely should have made the top 10. Unfortunately, it didn't make my top 10. Maybe it makes yours. But yes, this is a subjective, personal list based off of my selection. Second, you're going to see some movies on this list that, aren't that director's first movie. But we're talking about horror debuts. So every single one of these is going to be that director's first horror movie, but maybe not their first feature. With all that said, let's get right into it. Okay, kicking us off with number 10 is going to be Don Coscarelli's Phantasm from 1979. Now, let me first start by saying, up until a few years ago, I never even heard of this movie. Then I saw it covered in a podcast I listened to. And, few months after that, I saw it on a YouTube review, and I just, started hearing more and more about it. It's, wow. How it avoided my radar until now, it's mind-blowing. Much like this movie. That was terrible. It tells the story of two brothers in this small town who investigate the mysterious goings-on in their local mortuary. It was a low-budget, independent movie, and honestly, I'm still in awe of how they were able to pull off everything. Kick-ass practical effects, hauntingly beautiful score. It's incredible. And just a dreamlike mind-bender of a story. I've seen this by far the least compared to the others on this list. And because of that, I can easily see it climbing the ranks on further watches. Okay, number 9 is going to be Dario Argento's The Bird with the Crystal Plumage from 1970. Yes, I am happy to say that one of my favorite subgenres of horror, Giallo, made the list. Giallo did not stutter there. What that is, it's an Italian subgenre of horror that primarily came out in the mid-1960s through to the mid-1980s. All of these movies most often featured a killer with black gloves, an amateur detective investigating some grisly murders, and also the cast usually being made up of a whole host of beautiful women. And The Bird with the Crystal Plumage has all of that. Rightly so, as many, including myself, consider it to be the film that popularized the subgenre. And I have to say, I find it fascinating, in my opinion, that he nailed the protagonist in The Bird with the Crystal Plumage in his first film off the bat. It's a bit controversial to say that, because the protagonists in his other films, are very popular in their own right. But there's something about Sam, his name's Sam, or amateur detective in this film. There's something about him, his personality, how, not to get into too much spoilers, but how the film opens up and how he's trying to help, that you just gravitate towards immediately. And yeah, he's my favorite protagonist of Argento. And yeah, it's awesome that he nailed it in the first go around. So for anyone looking to, explore something different, or if you're a fan of slashers, for instance, Giallo had a lot of influence on slashers in the US and in Canada. So for any of people with those kind of interests, I highly recommend Dario Argento's The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, coming in at number 9 on this list. Okay, number 8 is going to be Ari Aster's Hereditary. When this movie first came out, I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit of a film snob. I was taking filmmaking at the time, and I kind of thought it was overrated from what I'd heard. I also might have been a little scared. My brother had seen the movie in theaters. I had a pretty big reaction on him. He was fine, but I remember him saying that it just impacted him a lot. So I just avoided it. It's just like, nah, just don't have to see it. But one day, when I was in Walmart, I bought this combo pack, and I was like, hey, A24, it's got Hereditary, might as well check it out. And mind you, during this whole time, during this few year span, I had Hereditary largely spoiled. Like, the big events that happened throughout the movie, I kind of already knew they were coming and didn't know the context, but I was like, oh yeah, that happens. So yeah, just sitting down under worse circumstances going into this movie. When a certain death happens, about a third of the way through, my jaw was on the floor. I kid you not. Literally, just on the floor for minutes on end. Not just because of the death, which was shocking enough. It was the way the characters around the death reacted to it. I was just in a state of shock watching them react to this character's death and how it impacted the rest of the movie. The acting and the story detailed throughout the whole film just made it an incredible experience. Even having those large pieces of events in the movie spoiled for me. So if that doesn't show the talent behind the screen for Ari Aster's debut movie, for having that much of an impact on me, knowing it was coming, I don't know what will. Number 7 is going to be George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead from 1968. Once again, unfortunately, not a movie I have a physical copy of yet, but I'm hoping to remedy that as soon as possible. Because Romero's debut feature, wow. Just once again, wow. I know I'm saying that a lot, but these movies are amazing. First of all, this film redefined the zombie subgenre. That's what it did. Up until that point, they were very different concepts. I understand Romero, referred to the zombies in the movie as ghouls, but going forward in the subsequent films, zombies and they're zombies. So it just kind of exploded the subgenre from it in the subsequent decades. Next, I want to focus on the casting, specifically Dwayne Jones as Ben, which became instantly iconic and unintentionally culturally relevant. So, Dwayne Jones, playing Ben, was a black man. And during the time, it was made in the late 60s. Once again, as I said, it was released in 68. At that time, a black man leading a movie as our main character, our protagonist, was not common at all. So, off the bat, it was one of those things that were just like, oh wow, that's a bold move. And the timing was also, as I said, culturally relevant because it was right in the heart of the civil rights movement in the United States. And also, coincidentally, the release of the film happened not long after Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. So a lot of big, important history around this movie, which having that black main character just connected to, in my opinion. And what's amazing about this is it was coincidental. Romero wasn't looking to do this or send that message, and that's wasn't his direct intention. He just cast a good actor, and it just ended up happening that way. I will say some of the character interactions throughout the movie are frustrating and not unrealistic, but just a little bit like, you know what I'm saying? Like, kind of grating on the nerves. But the ending, it's heartbreaking. It's horrifying. Looking at the images that close out the film connects back to a lot of the stuff I talked about at the beginning, the civil rights movement, Black history. Watching the end of the movie with that context, even if it wasn't intentional, you can't help but see that correlation right there. All of that wrapped up together, that's what makes George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead my number 7. Number 6 is going to be Steven Spielberg's Jaws from 1975. Like I said at the beginning, we're talking about horror debuts by directors, so Jaws is 100% fair game. And how can I not mention this movie? The first summer blockbuster that scarred a generation. While I'm not old enough to personally attest to, the stories that came out after the film, my mom is. She was a teenager when the movie came out, and here's how the story goes. She was about 13 when it came out, and my uncle and my aunt were older and were able to take her to see the movie because she was underage. Went to see the movie, watched it, and after, don't know how long after, but after, they went to the beach together, my whole family, and my mom could not step foot in the water. She refused to swim. She can swim now. She has no issues with it now. But the after effects of seeing this movie were right there, and I can't blame her. I can't blame or laugh at that fear. The opening scene, which besides being one of the greatest openings in cinematic history, frankly, is iconic horror at its simplest. It's a girl at night taking a swim in the dark, and then a unseen attacker pulls her under. That's that's the scene. But it's so terrifying. We've all been there. We've all been swimming late or what have you, and you don't know what's in the water. And neither did she, neither did we. And it impacted us to our core. Other than that, let me just say, this movie also has one of the greatest monologues in cinema history in the form of the Indianapolis speech. Once again, trying to keep the spoiler free, but you know the scene. They're all sitting down, they're having that talk, comparing stories, and when the USS Indianapolis gets brought up, chilling, to say the least. Okay, top 5. And number 5 is going to be Tommy Lee Wallace's Halloween 3 Season of the Witch from 1982. Years ago, I remember the way this movie was shunned and a hated part of the Halloween franchise, but I never understood why. Like, I just never understood, and I'm very happy to see over, the last few years, last decade, roughly speaking, it's starting to come around to more of the horror community, and I love that. I loved the different route that Halloween 3 took, going away from Michael Myers and trying to do what was originally intended to be a horror anthology. So every year a movie came out of the Halloween franchise, it was going to be a new concept. And for this first one, we had the Halloween masks and the Celtic mythology and Samhain, or as it's how it's said in the movie, Samhain. I loved all of it. And I also love Tom Atkins, our lead's relationship with Stacey Nelkin's character. Can't remember using the actor names. It's just perfect. Is it cheesy? Yes. Is it bonkers? Definitely. But connected with, once again, that unforgettable ending. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, is a fantastic movie, sitting nicely at number 5. Okay, we've cracked the top 5. We're at number 4. Number 4, Jordan Peele's Get Out from 2017. Similar to Night of the Living Dead with its cultural impact, Get Out's commentary was, in this case, purely intentional. It held the mirror up to white middle class liberals, just brilliantly deconstructing perception, elitism, ignorance, and it does it so fantastically. But outside of these important themes, Peele doesn't hold back his other talents as a filmmaker. Visually, there's homages to horror predecessors such as Stanley Kubrick and John Carpenter, while also including a soundtrack that is thematically rich. I believe it had a lot of Swahili influence, and you can tell that, but you can also tell that it's influenced by Kubrick and by Carpenter, by just the tones of the theme. The film is genuinely terrifying with the premise that it comes up with of, a black man visiting his white girlfriend's family in the country, and the events that fall out from that concept. But what I also love about Get Out is connecting back to Jordan Peele's comedic roots. Like the perfectly timed moments of comic relief by the TSA agent, our main character's best friend Rod, are so good. Jordan Peele's Get Out, number 4. Top 3. And at number 3 is going to be Ridley Scott's Alien from 1979. I gotta say, this was a movie I was late to the party on for the simple reason that xenomorphs scared me like crazy when I was a kid. Hell, even now, I still find them terrifying. I remember my introduction to xenomorphs actually being in the original Alien vs. Predator. Because growing up, I was always more of a Predator fan. This kind of ties back to my love of Arnold Schwarzenegger and watching action movies with my dad. Because of that, I had honestly not seen this film in its entirety until a number of years ago, but fairly recently in the grand scope of things, when I decided to sit down and binge the whole series. And I thought it was great. The special effects and the cinematography stand up today. And this movie, it's not the oldest on the list, but it's almost 50 years old. And those special effects and that cinematography, it looks like it could have been made a few years ago. Like, it's great. Another thing, Ripley, our main protagonist, who becomes our main protagonist as the film goes on, is a great final girl. Top tier standing as a final girl. And with that said, yes, I 100% call Alien a slasher movie. It's much more than that, than just a slasher. But it is a space slasher that I find amazing. Once again, not his debut feature. Ridley Scott had made, I think it was a historical drama, The Duelist, before this. But Alien is his debut in horror, and easily cements it at number 3 on this list. I went back and forth between my number 2 and my number 1 for a while, with 1 being a movie I have seen countless times, and the other being considered one of the greatest horror films of all time. In the end, though, my number 2, John Carpenter's Halloween from 1978. Growing up, I was not a fan of scary movies. As I said in the last entry, talking about Alien, action movies were my thing. But in junior high, I decided to, branch out and, test the waters and see if I could actually have fun being scared. And I'll admit, I started with Scream, but right after that, I went to Halloween. Immediately hooked, and I had trouble sleeping for a bit there after that. It's kind of funny, thinking back how scared I was, but also it's, I have to give myself credit. it's a great horror movie for a reason. Made on a low budget, like other movies on this list, such as Phantasm and Night of the Living Dead. What separates Halloween to, a higher placement on this list is the simplicity of its concept. Guy in a mask going around killing babysitters on Halloween night. That was it. We didn't know the reason. We didn't know if he was the boogeyman. We were just stuck in that reality. Franchise, blew up after that, but before that, like I said, that was just that simple concept that we had right there. Besides that, let me just dive into a couple other aspects of this movie. John Carpenter's score. Iconic. I just use that word a lot, but truly, really, there's this story. I watched a documentary about the Halloween franchise where I believe it's Carpenter himself talking about how he completed the movie, basically, but without the music, and showed that cut to the producers. And unfortunately, he left that meeting feeling very disappointed because the producers did not like the movie. Didn't find it scary, kind of found it a little bit boring. So he took the weekend and made the score that we know and love today. Added it to the movie, showed them that version, and it was night and day. The producers were blown away. Same people, and they were like, this is great, this is so scary. How is this the same movie? But it was. They just added that music. So it just really shows the power of a great score. And because of that, that score, the atmosphere of the movie overall, Halloween, this movie, I think since that story, since that first year, I don't think there's a year I haven't watched this in October. For the past decade, every October, when that month comes around, I have to pop this in and watch Halloween. Which is why easily it sits pretty at number 2. Number one, guys, and with a bullet, easily, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining from 1980. Could it have been anything else? For me, the answer is it's a definitive no. Like Jaws and Alien, gotta say, this was not Kubrick's first feature. Not by a long shot. He actually had the most extensive filmography of any director up until that point of The Shining being made. But, once again, qualifying it for this list, it was his first horror film. And off the bat, The Shining is easily in my top 5 horror movies of all time. And I completely understand people having it even higher on their own lists. Top 3, top 2, number 1. Completely get it. The cinematography is amazing. Those wide shots we get at the beginning and throughout the film, showing, how small and how isolated the Torrance family is in that grand, snowy, mountainous setting. It's incredible. And speaking of those opening moments, the Shining score, that humming, ear-ringing tone that just delivers dread into your veins instantly, just setting you up for what's coming next. Now to the story. You know, I've read Stephen King's original novel, The Shining. And because of that, I can completely, without question say that this movie, it's not a faithful adaptation of Stephen King's original story. It's just not. And because of that, I also completely understand why Stephen King doesn't, like the movie and had issues with Kubrick because of it. But with that said, knowing the story, loving the novel, I also love this movie. Jack Nicholson is a bit too manic from the jump, but his performance is still great. Shelley Duvall, her treatment on set is inexcusable. But you can also still see that real exhausted terror radiating off the screen and just adding to the impact and the horror of this film. Finally, the theories and the hidden gems in this movie, are one of a kind. From the set design, to the ghost sequences, to the underlying themes. No other film has the depth and the richness, such as The Shining, that every single time you watch the movie, you come away with something different, something stranger, something new to leave you feeling the impact once again. And that is why all of that makes Stanley Kubrick's The Shining my #1 horror directorial debut. Okay guys, that was great. I had a lot of fun coming up with this idea, writing the list, making this video, and let me just say, narrowing, all of the horror debuts out there to this top 10, it was no easy feat. And because of that, there's still a lot of horror debuts out there I didn't even mention. So let me know in the comments below if you guys would like to see a part 2 sometime in the future. And also, let me know in those comments below, what are your horror picks? What are your horror debut picks? Give me that top 3, top 5, top 10 if you're feeling it, and I would love to read that. Also, I would love if you could, like this video, share it with your friends, your family, your coworkers, get it out there, and subscribe for more. All of that said, what's your favorite scary movie?